After another man wasted my time during a talking stage, I honestly don't know if I want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I give up. I'm not doing another talking stage. I am done dating.
Talking stage, who cares? You literally invested nothing. I mean, why even complain about that at all? Makes no sense to me because, let's be honest, who even engages in the talking stage? This is like girls usually the ones that are really spearheading talking stage because they get all the information and have to give nothing, right? So really, it's in your advantage to do a talking stage for one. Number two, the guys that even bother with talking stages, which by the way, I always say they don't exist, but anyways, the guys that even bother with this stuff, these are the guys that really just don't know any better. There's no such thing as a talking stage ever. Okay. If a girl likes you, you go on dates and you progress forward. There's no talking stage. This is the only case where this maybe makes sense is if you're long distance or whatever. If you're like one of those ultra wealthy guys and you can't find anything locally, or there's a certain caliber you're looking for, maybe then, maybe then. But in general, talking stage is it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. And that's just what it is.
That's why I don't be telling my mom or my friends anymore about any of these little situations, because it's like I could go on a couple dates and then they could ask me about it the next week and I'll be like, who? Oh yeah, we stopped talking already. Like, no, that was a doozy. A doozy. It's really not easy out here because you will go on a date with a guy and maybe it'll go great. Maybe the second date will go great. But then by the third date, he'll either say something or stop trying to take you out, give you sketchy vibes. I am good on all that. Thank you very much. Next. I literally
Like I keep telling guys, right? You have to be perfect in the modern era. You have to legitimately be perfect for these girls. Or they're just lying and say they like these guys, but they don't actually like them that much. That's more what I'm thinking, right? Because in the end, right? Why put all this effort and energy for a girl that feels super entitled but doesn't necessarily do that much, right? That's always the question. And a lot of girls never take responsibility. So she acted super entitled or gave off energy that she deserved a lot, right? A lot of guys are going to get turned off by it. So this whole thank you next thing it's some new age garbage. I mean, I get it if a guy's not up to par or whatever with some reasonable standards, sure, right? I'm never going to judge standards that way. But I'm saying this whole, how many times is he going to jump through endless hoops, right? To please you, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say here.
have a picture of exactly what I want, the exact kind of man I want. It has nothing to do with what he looks like. I could literally transfer, like Build-A-Bear, the little qualities that I want in a man and put it in literally anyone, and I would probably fall in love with him. Why we just have to keep trying. I mean, literally by like the 500th guy. And
Right, right. Nothing's wrong with you. It's always the guy. I mean, we beat this to death, and we're gonna keep doing it. But it's always the guy's fault every single time. It's never your fault. But hey, I mean that's the beauty of being the sexual selector, I guess. I guess you really can do this infinitely as long as you want, up until a point where you can't command what you want like you did before. We're not gonna get into that.
I will be waiting until that. Otherwise, I will be alone. Happily alone.
And this is that classic thing, right? These days, girls will be alone rather than have a guy that's not essentially perfect, right? And you guys need to learn to understand this. The only way to really beat this game is by just becoming better. There's no other way. Because girls will simply not settle. They just won't. They don't need to settle anymore like they used to, right? Before, they had to settle because somebody had to take care of them, and they couldn't really do a good enough job taking care of themselves. The world was a very physical world before, all right? So when it came to food, right? You couldn't just go to the store and buy food. You had to go and do it with your hands. And girls just aren't as good at that stuff. They never were. So it made sense, a man provided a lot of utility in these types of ways. Now they don't need, men directly anyway. Indirectly they do, but directly they don't need them for survival. So now they can sit there because their security is basically accounted for, whether by family, the government, their job, right? One or the other. Whether they find the perfect guy or not does not matter. Okay? It's not about what's reasonable, it's about what they think is reasonable. and which is perception. It's not about reality, it's about perception. And guys have a really hard time understanding this concept. It's not about what's fair, it's not about what they actually deserve objectively. It's always about what they think they deserve. And if they think they deserve the best and they don't need their security needs met by a guy, well, they can keep rolling the dice infinitely until they get exactly what they want, because they don't really, there's no pressure on them the same way like there used to be. The only pressure they have is age, but even then, girls don't even care about that. They still act like when they are 40, they can get the same they always could. And unfortunately, I do hate to tell you this, but there are some women that will still command a certain type of guy, even when they're 40, even when they're 45. There's always some guy around that will give them at least something they want. And I think a lot of guys just don't understand that we just live an entirely different life than they do. You just have to accept this. It is the way it is. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure to also check the description of the video for all my links.